Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of the CSL MTG Arena League. I'm your host, Rob AJG. And this week, I am joined by a gentleman who I have known for, God, I don't know how long. It seems like every time I have a guest on here, I tell him, like, yo, I've known him for like 15 years or some crazy number. And it's true because Magic, just like everyone at home knows, is you build those long-term relationships with folks when you start traveling with them and seeing them everywhere. But to everybody at home, this is JD, my guy who's been on the grind forever. Tell everybody at home who you are, what you've been up to, and like where would they see you if they were playing Magic?
Hey, JD, as Rob said, I've known Rob, I want to say at least 12 years, minimum. I'm a streamer now. I stream on my channel. We're having some fun over there. I travel to a lot of the SCG events, mainly on the East Coast. I don't travel as much these days because I have a 6-year-old and he occupies
That
a
life, you know.
lot of the time, dead life, as we like to say. But yeah.
Now, you do play a lot of Arena, so I see you hitting Mythic all the time. So that's why I wanted to have you on today, so I can have an expert who does a lot in Standard. And for myself, I am here in Phoenix, Arizona. We have, Magic Fest Phoenix going on. We have the Grand Prix going on. I was not lucky enough to make it through the Pro Tour grinder because that would have been awkward because I'd be playing in the Pro Tour right now. So, this cast might be a little awkward if I try to do this in between rounds. So we didn't have that happen. And I also got to play some mystery boosters today for the first time. And needless to say, it is really interesting. I was at like 500 life from lifelinking creatures, and then I ended up decking myself because I didn't bring in my elixir that was in my sideboard. So
Elixir of Immortality. You have to play the Elixir of
listen,
Immortality.
I for everybody at home, here's what happened. Okay, I had a control deck. Game 1, I won. Game 2, I got run over, and then in game 3, I said I'm going to side out this elixir and bring in the artifact that gains you 1 life every turn and draws a card because I figured that would give me more time. I wasn't going to get decked in the process, but it happened anyway. So
that's funny.
Having a good time here playing Magic, and I am ready to get into some Standard because I want to see what's going on in Standard because there's like Standard PTQs that are going on here. So if you've never been to a Grand Prix or a Magic Fest, you have to go because they basically run PTQs like all the time. And
that's a blast.
Dude, it's nuts. You're just like, yeah, whatever. PTQ 5 times a day. It's like it's pretty cool. And then you can also qualify for the Players Tour by going 5-0. You go 5-0 in the qualifiers yesterday, and you can make it. So make sure you do attend those. And I'm actually repping the squad out here. ASU. So I had to bring out the ASU stuff because the ASU team, they're also very nice. Been playing some Magic stuff, but JD, it's time to get into talking about these decks. So what we do on our show is it's a team match. Now, have you played much team, JD?
Yes. I normally play like we'll do like the SG tour where they have the team like Standard, Modern, and Pioneer seats, and I always get stuck at the Standard seat.
Oh, darn. Well, it's a good thing, we got you on today because we're going to be doing Standard. But for everybody at home, if you don't know how it works, it's 2 teams of 3 players. And you're going to play the best 2 out of 3 matches. And whoever wins those matches will go ahead and be victorious. And each single match is still best 2 out of 3. And what we do on the show is we first do our deck tech. And we will go through each of the matchups that we're going to see on the show today. We'll talk about what each of the decks are going to do. And then after we talk about what the decks are going to do, we'll figure out who we think is going to win. And then we will do the commentary of all the matches, and we'll kind of reach back and figure out how badly we, predicted what was going to happen. And it's a fun time. And hopefully you guys can learn a lot about Standard and maybe qualify for the Players Tour. Or if you are in college yourself, maybe build your own squad, because we do have the finals of the CSL MTG Arena League going down in Las Vegas at the HyperX Esports Arena. Don't miss out on that. Maybe JD will be there. Hopefully I'll be there. And
no, Vegas.
It's Vegas. Just tell your wife you had to work.
Hey,
Listen,
wife, I'm going to Vegas. Oh,
baby.
okay. Yes, she's all right with
Baby, if you could just hold on. But we want to make sure that you also know that we have a lot of great sponsors in GameStop and in HyperX. And here's the thing is that we want to obviously say thank you to our sponsors because GameStop is partnering with CSL in 2019-2020 to activate collegiate esports tournaments online and in person. So make sure you visit www.gamestop.com/esports for more details about their GameStop Performance Center gaming clinics. The GSPC gaming clinics are free for all players and give you an insider's look at how the players you love to watch dominate the games you love to play. And there's also the GameStop Bootcamp. So, are you a CSGO or a Fortnite player? Because CSL, GameStop, and Complexity Gaming are going to give you the chance to train with the best. Win a 4-day trip to the GameStop Performance Center in Frisco, Texas, where you'll be able to train like and play with the pros. All you need to do is submit a short video of your CSGO or Fortnite duo team to show us why you deserve to get this experience of a lifetime. And then also, let's not forget about HyperX. And how can I forget about HyperX? I mean, I work on the HyperX truck. I do a lot of stuff with HyperX, and I've got the HyperX, gear on. And it's the HyperX Esports Arena. So, don't miss out on that. HyperX is doing a lot with us as well. But all that being said, I am ready to get into our deck tech, and we're going to see a little bit about what these teams decided to bring to the table. So, JD, our first match is going to be Felorian versus Turn 1 Stormcrow. So,
Turn 1 Stormcrow.
Turn 1 Stormcrow. It is going to be Clemson versus Virginia Tech. So, for Clemson, we are going to look at his deck and Stormcrow's deck and see what he's bringing to the table. Looks like mono red. JD, talk to me a little bit about what mono red is doing in standard these days.
Mono red is doing exactly what it has done throughout the ages. Put some 1-drops into play, send some burn spells upstairs, and Embercleave you now.
Yeah.
Embercleave. Oh my god, that card is absolutely insane.
What a card.
Yeah, and they lean on Torban.
Yeah,
Torban. He just to double the damage. It's incredible. But burn spells low to the ground. Draw cards would light up the stage, and they have a new toy in Annex, which is extremely, extremely, extremely good because now that when their creatures die or they get wrath, they're left with a board state. In the past, when you wrathed red decks, they were just pretty much out of the game. But now they have that longevity,
Yeah, lots of reach with Annex. So I've seen this card a lot in Limited, and even in Limited, it's really good. But turns out when you put an Embercleave on it, things get a little crazy. And Embercleave is not only really good in Standard, but I played against this in the Pioneer tournament. Okay, and it's just being able to play it at instant speed is not fair. I mean, it's just like, oh, hey, you decided to block this thing, and now this thing has double strike. Oh, it's not over. And not only does it have double strike, it gets an additional bonus in power. And wait, we're not done. It also has trample because all that's necessary in one card. And it's like for 2 red, right? Like, get real and get on my level. But like you said, mono red has been doing mono red things. It is just trying to go quickly, get under you, and then take it to the house. So, but it's not easy to play either. You do have to manage your resources, and it's not. People always say, "Oh, mono red's so easy," but man, like you said, cards like Wrath of God are still out there. Things can just wipe your board, and then what, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of balancing with this deck. You have to pick, like, for example, when you're going to Embercleave, what you're going to Embercleave on. Do you want to shock them? Do you want to use your light of the stage this turn? It's a lot of like extracting the most value you can, because like there's a difference between one in dead and one in alive.
Right. Yeah, and sequencing is so important, and I think that's what many people really just have to. It comes with practice, right? Like, when you play your first 10 games of mono red, you're like, oh man, it's so simple. I don't have to worry about this. But then you start losing games with your opponent's at 2 or your opponent's at 3 or 1. and you think about through that game, like, man, did I just miss out on the opportunity to win this game because I didn't sequence it correctly? So there is a lot of that in the sideboard. We can see Lava Coil for cats. A lot of, well, pretty much anything that we just need to get rid of. Lava Coil will do diligence to get rid of it. And then Experimental Frenzy, I see a lot of because you need that reach. The last thing you want is to run out of gas, especially with your opponent being at 2 or 3. But JD, do you see anything else that's interesting here that you like?
There's one thing I just noticed about this list, and I'm trying to figure out the 2/2 Phoenix thing that like comes
The guy
back.
with haste.
Yeah, it's not in this list. I mean, it's shocking, and I think they made more room for the Berserker because of like a lot of mono white decks floating around. So
Right.
I'm shocked to not see the Phoenix, but the Tibble is really 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 strong in this metagame.
Yeah.
It's a lot of incremental life gain with Euro and Heliod and so on and so forth. So I like the Tibble.
Well, and you wouldn't normally say I like Tybalt in a serious conversation, but
Yeah.
it is a good card in the sideboard. But let's take a look and see what Virginia Tech is bringing to the table. And Felorian looks like is playing red green, and now this red green deck is also an Embercleave deck, and this is also a Pioneer deck. This is the deck that I lost to in the qualifier because the deck literally just puts power into huge things in the play, and then when Embercleave hits it, it's like all of a sudden 5/5 trample double strike is a real beating.
Yeah, you know what the scariest part about that Embercleave in this deck is? What if it ever lands on that Questing Beast?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's like here's my 6/6, but I'm only going to deal 1 damage to kill your thing, and the trample is going upstairs
Twice. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, 5/5 double strike vigilance death touch haste. Yeah, that's a good card, I'd say. And it will kill every planeswalker and you with it. But let's talk about these planeswalkers that I see in the red-green deck because I'm pretty sure that if we look at the very bottom, there we go, we have a Domri Anarch of Bolas. And obviously, creatures getting +1/+0, it ramps you a little bit. But then also, guess what? Fight on a stick. It's everything that you really want in a red-green planeswalker.
Exactly. It just speeds up, keeps the mana curve flowing, kills things. It does everything you want it to do.
Yeah, and for just a little bit, just 3 mana.
Yeah, just 3. Just
Just whatever. Spellbreaker also very good to be able to make sure you can continue to give it hexproof so that you don't have as many shenanigans going on your opponent's turn. Lovestruck Beast. So you do see some of these adventure creatures because you are going to see Innkeeper in the 1-drop slot. So we talk about incremental value, that kind of stuff. But JD, let's talk about the history of mono red versus red green aggro. In the history, normally red green aggro is better, right?
Normally,
because it's bigger. But in this case, you can actually get run under because of how wide the red deck can go.
And that's the power of Annex, and the card that we actually didn't mention in the red deck, their land that pumps your team. It does what Domri does. It gives the +1 counter to everyone, but it makes it very, very, very difficult for them to block.
Right. And the thing is that this red-green deck runs into the issue of not everything in the deck is a threat, right? So, like, your planeswalkers are great, but they're not a direct threat. And I think you have this threat density in the mono red deck where it's like everything that jumps out can be a real big problem. But let's look at the sideboard for the red-green deck and see what it's bringing to the table. So Spyglass isn't going to be doing much, but hey, Flame Sweep. I heard Flame Sweep is Pyroclasm's pretty good against the red deck. So, and there's also the Legion Warboss against the Control. This is probably not a matchup where we're going to see any Legion Warboss, but
we'll probably see the Brontodons though.
3/4. I mean, to get rid of Embercleave.
Yeah, it's also just a big blocker. You know, the 4 toughness is actually huge.
Right. And they don't really have a good way to get rid of that. You can't like usually 1v1 Brontodon when you're playing mono red, right? So it drops on turn 3, gives you a big body, and on top of that can get rid of their Embercleave. So, all right, let's make a prediction. talk to me about who should win the matchup between this red-green adventure-ish deck and the mono-red. Who you got?
All right. So, believe it or not, I'm going to take green red in this matchup for the
Okay.
purpose, depending on their draw. If they're like pet collector into Domri's ambush into play my Loxodon as a 5/5, and they can get to the mid game of like Hellkite and Question Beast, the red deck's going to run into the problem where they cannot attack. The green red deck can put up the walls, put up these 3/3s and 4/4 bodies, and then just take it to the sky.
Right. So I really like the red green deck because of the history of how good red green is just in this matchup. I like being able to stall the board with big 5/5s. And I mean, red decks have problems with like 3 toughness people, let alone 5 toughness and 4 toughness. And then if you get to that board state of, well, we're at parity, turns out if you put an Embercleave on anything, the red decks can't block it, right? It's like, well, here's a 5/5 double striker. Enjoy yourself because you're probably going to die now. So I would definitely take the red-green deck as well. But let's get a look into the next matchup, which is going to be M16 Man 66 versus Land of the Freeman. So let's look at M16 Man 66 deck and see what is brought here. And this is our standard Boogeyman right now, the number 1 deck played in the format. Fires of Invention. JD, tell everybody at home, what does Fires of Invention, what does this deck do?
So Fires of Invention is a fair and balanced magic card.
Very, very fair and balanced.
It says you can only play 2 spells a turn, but you can play these spells for free if they are equivalent to the amount of mana you have in play. So say you have 5 mana. You can play anything for 5 or less for free.
Now, how does that combo? What happens if I put in a creature that has abilities? Can I still use my mana?
Yeah, why not? You didn't have to pay mana to cast it.
Turns out that's a pretty good combination when you have Cavalier Flame. So if we look at Cavalier Flame, it comes in, and then you can use that 2 mana that you didn't have to spend to cast it to give everything haste and +1/+0. Then you're going to have Cavalier of Gales, the blue card, which will also draw you some cards to get you into some more gas. And this particular version runs the White God, right? Because now let's look at the combo here. So God Eternal Oketra, when you play this first, then you play the next creature. Well, guess what? Now you get a free 4/4, and you get to give them all haste. So now you're going 5 power haste, 4 power haste, plus the Cavalier haste, and it is a huge beating.
And don't forget the double strike on Oketra.
Oh, by the way, why not some double strike? Because Magic cards nowadays have like a
I think we just lost Rob for a second. But yeah, a lot of the cards these days just have multiple.
This is like, oh, sorry. Yeah. And this is a situation where this deck is one of the most played decks in the format. It's very good at what it does, and then it has some ways to also be able to smooth out its draws. So we have the Sphinx that will allow you to scry a whole bunch in the beginning of the game to make sure you get what you need. But I also see Wrath of God in this list. And that's not actual Wrath for everybody at home. Yes, I know. But Shattered the Sky is, for this deck, exactly what you want.
Yep. Blow up the world. Oh, wait. And I get to draw a card depending on what's in play. Like, I am not a fan of this deck. Every time I see this deck, every time I'm playing and I see this deck and my opponent's like, Temple of Epiphany, I'm like, okay. And then I see like the red, white, or blue, white.
Yep.
I'm like, oh no, please don't play Fire of Invention on 4. Please don't have it on 4.
Don't do it.
And then they play it on 4, and I'm just like, it's going to be
a
game.
That was fun. Yeah. And the thing now is that deck gets to go turn 4 fires and then play Shatter the Sky.
Yeah.
To sweep the board. And normally that's how you try to beat this fires deck is your turn 4 at the worst used to be fires into Sphinx. And you were like, okay, I can live with that. But fires into Wrath is a real big beating. Go ahead.
This deck has multiple Wraths. They have 4 Clarions and 2 Shatter. So it's like, fires into Clarion.
That's right.
Fires into Shatter. It's very hard to get under this deck. because once they get the 3 and 4, they just start closing the door on you very quickly.
Yeah, and there's a reason that people like playing it. So I don't want to get too much into it because obviously we have seen this deck multiple times on stream, so everybody at home has a pretty good idea. But seeing the Shatter the Sky in the deck was a little bit of tech there. In the sideboard, though, let's take a look and see what they've got going on here. I don't see anything crazy here. Devout Decree, Disenchant, Gust, Veto, Spyglass, Dispute, and this bad boy. We all know about how good Dream Trawler is.
You mean Sphinx's Revelation?
Yeah, Sphinx's Revelation that attacks you.
Yeah.
Because the Sphinx's Revelation just as a spell wasn't good enough, so it got angry and grew wings.
It sprouted wings.
Yes, it sprouted wings and now kills you. So yes, Dream Trawler is a huge problem for pretty much every deck.
Yeah, if you don't have a Wrath, you're never killing this card.
No, it just doesn't leave the board ever.
Yeah.
And it requires no mana to even discard the card. So once you play it on 6, it's never leaving the game. So Dream Trawler, also a very good card in the sideboard. But what is going to try to take it down this week? Let's find out if Land of the Freeman has something. And it looks like I see blue-green. Now, if this is the tempo list or the control list, let's find out. Looks like this is going to be the control-ish list. That's going to have Uro. And we talked about this last week about how this 3-drop has just changed what blue-green is able to do. You're looking at a card that, for 3 mana, I guess gaining some life and drawing some cards and ramping is good value for 3 mana. Do you think, JD, think that's decent?
Yeah. It's pretty fair. Fair and balanced.
fair and balanced cards. But this blue-green deck, what it does is it will ramp into Uro. It has Nissa, obviously. Cavalier is more Cavaliers for you. But the addition to this that makes it a little bit different is I see Thassa.
I love Thassa.
And why is Thassa in I mean, I can tell why Thassa's in this list, but tell me how busted the one Thassa is when you draw it.
So, see that card that says Treachery over there that says gain control of target permanent? When you get the Thassa that every turn and just take one of your opponent's permanent, anything, just mine.
Yeah.
I would like to play with your Magic cards, please.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only that, in combination with Nissa, if you get to the mid game where you have that plus Nissa, your opponent can no longer attack you. You're just like tap 4, tap your guy, tap 4, tap your guy. They never get to attack you.
Yeah, and what's even crazier about this is without the Shatter of the Sky, the Fires deck just has nothing.
Yeah,
like nothing for this. They can't get rid of Thassa anyway because it's indestructible. So let's start there. And the second problem is this is a ramp deck, so the Fires deck has nothing. It can't stop this deck from doing what it wants to do. It's just a matter of, will it be able to get there?
Does it get there quick enough? And
yeah.
the scary thing is, if they go like Treachery, take their fire, you're just
right.
like, okay.
Yeah. All of that seems really fair to be able to do that. So I am really interested to see what's going to happen there, if they're going to be able to go fast enough, because in the sideboard you are going to be able to see negates that will help against keeping the fires off the board. Return to Nature doing the same thing. Mystical Dispute, just every Disdainful Stroke. Whoever decided that they were going to be playing this blue-green deck really, really hates fires because their sideboard has just so many options to be able to combat it. And JD, I can see you. I see your face right now, looking confused. I can hear you. And this person hates fires. I think, did you build this sideboard? It looks like you did.
If I built this sideboard, I'd have like 4 casualties in it, and then black sources.
You're like, just some black source. I'm going to kill it all. I don't care. But let's talk about, based on what these decks want to do, who do you like better? Do you like the blue-green deck, or do you like the Fires deck?
In this matchup, believe it or not, I'm taking Fires.
Really?
The reason why is because This deck takes a lot of setup, right? There's only one Thassa, and there's one treachery. But when you say it steals the game one, when you get to the game two, where they have to fight through Teferi, they have to fight through Veto, uh, Mystical Dispute, Wrath. And if they're playing with their Nissas and they're like, oh, Nissa, make my lands, and they go Clarion, they get like 6-for-1s.
Okay. Well, I was going to go with the blue-green deck. I think the Simic deck has a lot of game here. I think that because it can't, both these decks don't have a lot of game stopping each other in game one. But I do like the sideboard for the blue-green deck. But, that's why they play the games. We will see what happens. And then in our last match, we have Pin versus I don't know how to say this. Is it Eldig? Eldig, I think, is the way to do this. Let's look at Pin real fast. Let's see what Pin's got going on. This is a man after my own heart, playing the blue-white control. I do a lot of this on Arena myself because Elsbeth Escapes Death is, oh my, what a card. I have discarded Dream Trawler to discard effects and just casually just play Elspeth Conquers Death, and I can't lose. It's
you just get to loop your Teferis over and over and over again.
You're right. You're like, I'll play this Teferi. I guess I'll kill your thing. I'll bounce my Elsbeth Conquers Death. Let's try this again.
Yeah, that card is a very, very good. It's kind of one of those weird cards because you look at it and it's like 5 mana to exile something. You're just like, but it just scales so well.
It feels like a planeswalker sometimes. You play it for 5, it comes down, it exiles, and it doesn't exile until it leaves play. It just exiles it. It's okay, fine. Exile this thing, and then the second one is kind of whatever, right? It just buys you some time, but then you just get to bounce it and play it again. So anything that they had that was really big is going away. I just think with these blue-white decks, it's just a matter of kind of what they want to do early game to try to stay alive. And this deck is very focused on that. Like if you look, it's playing 4 of the enchantment that makes the 0/4. And again, we're all on the same boat here when it comes to some of these Theros or Beyond Death cards. Like I'm not sure of all the names, but I definitely know what everything does, right? So it's like, so Birth fixes your mana, it makes an 0/4, and it gives you 2 life.
Yep.
What else do you need for 2 mana in a control deck?
It's a perfect bedtime story card for this deck. It's like I'm gonna read you the birth of the Memories.
That's right. I'm gonna tuck you in. You're gonna feel real good about it. And at the end, here's a cup of life from Mama. Don't worry about it.
Here's your glass of milk.
That's right. Here's your cookie. Go ahead.
Ironically, I think they're pouring milk in
I was gonna say, are they? It is the birth. It is baby. That is definitely milk. I didn't even think about it, but it is now you just need the cookie and we're good. So you're gonna have Birth to help you early game. And this deck, it looks like it's playing 4 of them. Now that is most of the decks I see only play 2.
Yeah.
But very good. It has Teferi, has all the normal stuff, and then it obviously has Dream Trawler because Dream Trawler is an unfair Magic card, and it is essentially the only way this deck can win. So.
They have another win con. It takes a real long time.
What's the other win con?
Castle of Ardenvale. But it's funny.
It's true.
I lost to that today. I was like, wrap your board, exile all your things. And we're just sitting there, and they sat behind counter magic and just made 1/1s. They're like 1/1, tag you for 1, 1/1, tag you for 2.
Tag you for 2. You're like,
1/1.
No.
Yeah, it is a real win condition.
Not like this. It's funny that Magic is like that with blue-white. You're like, look, I have 3. How many Dream Trawlers does he play? 3? 3 Dream Trawlers and 2 castles. Those are the only ways to win in the entire deck. That's it. Yeah. Everything else, keep me alive. But that's what blue-white has done for a very, very long time. And let's see when we talk about our next deck from Eldig. What is Eldig going to try to fight blue-white with? And it looks like it is going to be the blue-green tempo. And blue-green tempo, I don't like playing this deck when I'm playing blue-white control. Yeah. Like, It's the actual opposite of what I want to see, because the blue-green deck does everything on your turn, which is not good, and you have to somehow pray to sweet baby Jesus to resolve a Teferi against them, because if you don't resolve Teferi, I don't see this being favorable.
Yeah, all this matchup is literally going to come down to, like, is my Teferi good? Okay, cool. Counter all your stuff. Or it's gonna be green blue, counter all your stuff. You don't get to play Magic. Here's my 4/4, smash you.
Yeah, and then that's game. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It's like, well, the good thing about this for the blue-white deck is they are playing 4 Birth, and normally 4 Birth would be, like, in my opinion, not very good. But against this deck, that gives you a lot of time against these 2-power, 3-power creatures that might be coming out. You put out 0/4s. So, like, obviously, you're going to have cards like the Cutthroat is in there. Brazen Borrower is still going to be very, very good. There's really not even much to say here. It's just like, look, this is a super favorable matchup for blue-green.
Yep. The one upside that blue-white has in this matchup is that he is playing 3 Essence Captures, which don't do anything against blue-white. So if he draws the Essence Captures and not the negates or the quenches, go blue-white. If he draws quenches and negates and Sinister Sabotages,
forget it.
Sorry, blue-white.
Yeah, and it basically all this blue-green deck wants to do is play cards at the end of your turn that are flash creatures, and then leave up counter spells so that you can literally do nothing, and then beat you senseless as you really wish you were not in the game. Because it's with other decks, when you're playing like aggro, things like that, you can just kind of push through a lot of these little creatures that they have and make them do stuff, like make them counter instead of playing creatures. But blue-white doesn't really have that option. So in my opinion, I would definitely go with the blue-green deck in this matchup, because even with the sideboard stuff, he also has Shifting Ceratops to throw in extra gasoline on the fire. And that card is really close to being just a absolute unanswerable threat against blue-white. What do you think, JD? What do you got? You got blue-green in this one?
Yeah, I'm like the only way that the blue-white deck wins this matchup is that their draw is more powerful than the green-blue draw. For example,
but how could it be? Yeah.
The green-blue draw would have to not have their counter magics that are relevant, or if blue-white can stick a Teferi and hide behind the Teferi, then they should win.
Right, but they could go turn 2 Birth, turn 3 Teferi, and they will probably win.
Yes,
if it's that exact line.
But if the Teferi gets hit by a quench, sorry.
Well, nice try. You did good. Okay, well, we made our predictions. We have an idea of who we like, but before we get into finding out exactly who is going to be winning our first match, we are going to go to a quick break. So don't go anywhere. When we get back, we will have game 1 of our match of Clemson versus Virginia Tech. See you back. Oh, we are about to get into our first game, or excuse me, our third game, because Wit is now 1-1. They were playing super fast. and we're going to catch them into their game 3. Obviously, there's been some sideboarding that has gone on, and we are now going to find out, can the red, this is our red-green deck. We're going to see, can this adventure deck get through it? And this hand is very nice. We're going to be able to get into some really early aggro. We have Innkeeper into Lovestruck Beast, and lots of really good things for the red-green deck. Would love to be able to get a couple more mana to make this hand a real thing. And everything you could almost really want in a red-green hand is what we see here.
Yeah, their curve looks fine. They're about 1 land light.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, just 1, but I mean they have like land Innkeeper into like Lovestruck Beast. But here comes our red deck trying to go under 1/1 haste, and oh boy. Oh. Oh, Flame Sweep. That's the exact opposite card that the mono red deck wants to see. And all right, Pelt Collector first, as opposed so he probably just wants to be able to go Innkeeper and immediately draw the card. I'm assuming that's the plan.
Yeah, but it's gonna get real.
Oh, that! Look at all this damage.
Would you like to block, so?
No, I don't want to block. I just want to live to turn 3 somehow if I can get this Flame Sweep off.
Yeah, and if he has an annex to follow this up,
can you imagine?
The Flame Sweep won't even matter.
God.
This is
so
one.
You have to block, right? You don't want to block, but if you don't block, I mean, okay. So if you don't block, you take 6, go to 14, right? So obviously, he was thinking about like, oh wow, maybe I should have played that Stomping Ground tapped last time.
No,
but he's got to take.
He did it right. I think I would have led with the.
Whoa.
He's gonna put 2 1/1s out. He needs to block.
But why wouldn't you do that with the Innkeeper? Wouldn't you? You don't want to do Innkeeper to get the extra cards to make sure you hit your 3rd land?
No, because you don't get it on the 1/1. You get it only when you cast the adventure.
Oh, okay. There we go.
So he
still has to draw the land.
Yep.
Block land.
Yep. Block land. Cross the hands and hope that
this is where, like, if it's in real life, you're building the strongest fist you've ever had, and you just smash the top of your deck as hard as you can.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting there tapping the top of my library like one time.
I'm beating the snot out of my deck like, you piece of crap! Don't you dare not give me a 3rd land when I can 3-for-1 my opponent, and then get back into the game with Innkeeper plus Lovestruck, double Lovestruck Beast to get back into it.
The scary thing here is he can still have land annex.
If he goes land annex, I might scream. Let's not do that. I don't want to blow everybody's ears out at home. He's got 3 cards in hand for the mono red deck, and gonna pass. Is there a 3rd land? Is he trolling us? Let's see. Okay. All right, that's an interesting thing. Oh!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it comes. Give me the sweeper, baby! How does that feel? He's like, all of a sudden, his heart stopped racing as much. It's like, he's like, did he? Oh, nice. What a scumbag.
What
savage.
So what I like him to do here is just play a Lovestruck Beast.
Yep.
Like, have a blocker. Because you have that, then you can play the Domri and fight down whatever your opponent plays.
Yeah, and this is what we call turning the corner.
Yep.
For red-green, because even with 3 mana... Oh, he did have it, but did it out! Oh, no! He
not like this.
Not like this, because now, just what you said, if he could play... He could play Domri if he wanted to.
But he plays the Innkeeper, draws a card, sits behind 2 5/5s.
Right, and what are you going to do to this? Like, if you're playing against mono red, now you're like, well, I'm getting attacked for 5.
Why is he attacking? I don't like
Why
that.
not?
I don't know. I just feel like
the tokens can't block. So what's he gonna do? Block with his 2/2 and just do nothing?
Fair.
There's a lava coil. Oh, 1/1. See, there it is. Now those Lovestruck Beasts they have no one to love. So This is definitely going to be Beast, right? Like, I mean, there's no question.
Yeah.
All right, Questing Beast incoming, 4/4. Obviously, he's not able to attack with the 2 5/5s because there is not a 1/1 in play, so that the Lovestruck Beasts don't have someone to follow into battle right now. Gonna have to be these 4/4, but for the mono red deck, 3 cards in hand, 3 mana. Would love to get the power up to 4. There is a Leather Lava Coil, great.
Yep. Those are keeping him in the game. But if he draws land for this Hellkite, this game is over.
Well, to be fair, there is a Domri in hand, so Domri's going to be able to drop and then fight.
No, he plays the Pelt Collector, attacks for 10.
Oh, that's also an option, and then you could fight afterwards.
Yep.
You could actually play the Domri right now, give everybody the bonus, and then fight, and then he makes 2 1/1s that can't block, take 12, and die.
Oh yeah, that line seems way better. But he also has the 2 point of damage if he doesn't block from the stomp. So maybe he's trying to bait him not to block to hit him with the stomp.
Well, that's not an option. He has to block, right? You can't just like take 10.
Hey, some people are men.
That's true. They're like, whatever. If you got it, you got it. I mean, I'm just thinking that I would have really liked to see the Domri get busy right there, but ultimately, the Armado red deck is at 6. Flame Sweep doing all of the work here. He's holding on to the stomp in case there's a blocker. Look, he's just being super conservative. Like, this is as conservative as a line you could do because the Domri play was actual just DOA.
Yeah, maybe he was thinking maybe he can claim and steal my guy and then like...
Right, some combination of things, right?
Yeah.
So now he, like, that 1/1 can't block.
Actually, that would kill him. If you think about it, if he had claim, if his last 2 cards were claim Embercleave, he could claim attack Embercleave
it,
and kill him.
That would have been okay. See, there it is.
Yeah.
And
I just upstairs it. I didn't even bother with the
with the token.
Nah, just like take these 2 points of damage.
Yeah, I mean, still has to find a way to deal with this Pelt Collector. If Pelt Collector doesn't get dealt with, the game's over anyway. 2 cards in hand, opponent at 12. And this was the reason that we liked the red... Oh, well, there's a 5th mana. But we liked the red-green deck because... well, I liked it because after Sideboard, you do get Flame Sweep.
Yep.
And Flame Sweep is just an unfair card. Well, there's a Stomp to keep those 5/5s off. Man, if only Domri was out. Last turn. But
here's my 5/5 that can kill anything.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't play that pre-combat.
He didn't play it because he didn't want to grow the Pelt Collector. If he grew the Pelt Collector, the 5/5.
Oh, the 5/5s couldn't attack. Got it.
Yeah.
See, that's why we have experts like JD on here to not make plays where I'm like, I'm just gonna be savage, put it in play, and it'd be like Pelt Collector gets a counter, stupid.
Oh
well. You said some people are madmen.
Nah, he's just dead though. He sends the Hellkite damage upstairs and attacks for 5.
Look, now he's gonna play the Domri for the extra rub-ins.
For the had all these.
Yeah, got all these. And there is the last piece of damage. The red-green deck comes through and wins the match. And again, game 1 and 2 went by so fast. Didn't even have to worry about talking about him. Went right in. So we now see that the red-green deck, like I told JD, just want to let everyone know at home.
I said it too.
No, you didn't. You said I'm gonna go with the mono red deck.
No, I didn't.
I don't know. No, you didn't. You said red. You said red-green. I'm just messing with you.
But it came down to what we talked about. If he had the 3rd land and went Annex, right?
Yeah.
The red-green is shut out because it doesn't matter if he wipes the board because now he's taking all the combat damage from the guys coming back at him. But it came down. He bricked. That's all you need sometimes. That little tiny brick, and it happened.
Because if he plays that, it would have made 2 tokens per creature, right? Or is it just 2 for him and then 1 for each other ones?
Yeah,
right?
It's 2 for him if his power is above, and he had 3 of the 1/1s. So
right.
He would have
made 2 counters, and everything else would have made 1. So it's 5 counters or 5 creatures.
He would have 5 1/1s.
Yeah, 5 1/1s is just fine.
Yeah, and if he found the pump land, that's just good enough.
Just,
you know what I mean?
just actual dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So And that's how close it was. He probably had it in hand too. He just needed the third land. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm pretty
the
sure he needed the
super duper rub-ins for, because they both were looking for the third land, and we're just unable to find it there. So it is going to be game one going to Virginia Tech, or excuse me, match one going to Virginia. But now we're going to go into our second match just right away. We're not even going to go to break. We're just going to go to our second match and find out if Virginia Tech can close this out, or is Clemson going to be able to tie it up? So let's get into our second match, where this was the one that we talked about. We weren't sure. I think we both had opposite ideas here, right? Of who we thought was going to be able to win this one. I think this was Fires versus the blue-green deck. The blue-green deck, I think is what it was.
And I went with the Fires deck.
Yeah, because this is the blue-green ramp deck that's going to be able to take permanents and everything like that. So he's going, JD says, going with Fires. I said, give me the deck that takes my opponent's stuff and beats them senseless with it. So we're ready to get into game one. And for the blue-green deck, we see one ramp creature, Nissa, which is also very good. And then we see our Agent of Treachery. And on the left, he decided to mull that away. Didn't like what he saw there.
Yeah, one green source is tough. Like, yeah, you get an extra land, but what are you doing with it? You can't play the Nissa. Like, the Treachery is like a million turns away.
Okay.
I like that mulligan.
And on the left side, we see that there was a keep coming from. Oh no, that was a mulligan as well. That's going to be a mulligan 5 here.
No, well, he has look at the top 3 scry fine lands.
Let's see. So I mean, I am never right when it comes to these mulligan decisions for Fires. Because I saw it, I was like, snap mulligan, I don't need this. Now, they don't know each other's decks either.
Yeah.
So
I think I keep this because I'm a madman. I'm a lunatic.
It's like, I'm with it.
You get 4 looks because you're on the draw.
He kept it. You're right. Kept it.
Yeah. He gets 4 looks.
And here we go. We are into our first game here. And incoming land. Going to go ahead and crack that passage and find a island or a forest. It is a forest, and here we go. Let's go ahead and scry, and just like you said, there's that Fabled Passage on top, so that's going to be the second land. Going to be looking for a couple more land. Need to get to 4 in order to be able to play this game effectively.
To be honest, he only needs to get to 3. The Teferi will also draw another card if he can get to 3.
Would you crack your passage here?
Yes.
See, I wouldn't crack it.
So I crack it because, like, you're going to need to cast a spell anyway, and you might need to cast this Brazen Borrower.
And follows your instructions here, and going to go ahead and crack that Fabled Passage and go ahead and get the plains. And there it is. There is the third land. So we do have a Hallowed Fountain, and we'll take 2 to be able to stomp here because we know that this guy cannot live.
Yeah,
this is unacceptable.
You get out of here, baby Euro. That's Euro. That's Euro when he was little.
It's like Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian. His Baby Euro right there. But here is a Teferi in play, and like you said, Teferi here to be able to draw cards if there was anything to bounce.
Yeah, he could just 0 and draw a card, but like submit 0, draw a card. I don't know if it's incorrect to draw a card there. I think you're better off just drawing the card because you have the Wrath backup. And you want to get to the land.
Yeah, you have to get to land right here. Like, if you get to land 4, you get to play Sphinx and just fix everything, right?
Yep.
And there's not too many heats.
At worst, you can play the 4/3.
And here is Baby Euro in play. Will it find a land? It does. Ramps up to 4. So next turn, we are going to be looking at most definitely a Nissa. And go ahead.
I'm gonna say something weird. I would bounce the Risen Reef and put it back to his hand.
Look at you! Ooh, but does not find the 4th land here.
Yeah, but it's fine because you want to kind of bait him. I don't think I even play this 4/3. You want to get him to play like 2 dudes and then Clarion to clean up. But if you play
I think that once you just play Nissa and then make a land, so that you can.
That's the thing. You don't want to play the 4/3 if you're going to Clarion anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, like, if worst comes to worst, he goes Risen Reef, something else. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is he goes Nissa, land, tag you for 3.
Yeah, or Nissa, like, untap a land, play another land, and then have 4 mana available. In this case, 3 land, and there's the Reef.
Yeah.
The problem here is now, even if you cast Clarion, you kill 2 lands, he's untaps and just takes your Teferi.
Yeah, this game is it's on the rough side.
Yeah. And this is the issue in game 1, because neither of these decks really can do too much against each other. It's just a matter of who draws their stuff. In this case, we are going to see a chump block there, and Teferi is like, I wish I could bounce this this Nissa, but unfortunately, I'm unable.
He's gonna instant speed Clarion. He needs to find fires. That's what he's looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, what that's going to do is we are definitely going to see the Agent of Treachery come in. Almost certainly, I would assume that they would take the Teferi and plus it.
Oh, I did not like this line.
There's the Borrower is going to come in, and we have 2, 4, 5, 6. So could it just play land if they had it, and take it naturally? But there doesn't appear to have the 7th land for the Agent here.
Because I'm one of those people. I'm not going to even take the Teferi. If I play the Treachery, I'm taking their lands. They already missed land drops, you know.
That is the greediest thing I've ever heard. Why would you? No, you definitely take the Teferi because it's.
What are they gonna do with the Teferi? Bounce my Agent of Treachery?
Yes.
Okay, I will.
No, but that means I can bounce my own Agent.
Yeah, but if you take the land, they can't cast spells, and you just punk them out of the game with Nissa.
That is an interesting line. If you're listening in Twitch chat, you can go ahead and just type in, would you take a land or would you take Teferi with Agent of Treachery?
So the
options.
The reasoning behind it is, yes, if you take the Teferi, yeah, you can bounce something. But if you take the land, now you're shutting your opponent off of a land, and you're giving yourself another target for Nissa and ramping yourself more in your ramp deck.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's like preposterous. I'm just saying that I think it's dumb. That's all. That's all. It's totally fair here. But there's the 4th land. Let's see.
The fires.
It's fires into what we talked about earlier. Fires into Wrath. Draw a card.
Yep.
And
yeah, he's not going to block.
I'm pretty sure he's going to block with the O3. Why wouldn't he block with the O3?
That's good. You gotta protect the Grazer.
You've got to be nice to your Grazer. Yeah. Here is the Deafening Clarion here. Going to go ahead and clean up all this stuff. And then now we see... Will there be an untap? Take the fires.
Remember when we had talked about this Treachery, take your fires play?
Will it happen?
During the pre? If he takes the fires, he gets to also take a land. And this game is just over.
Take your fires. Or no, well, you don't have to take the fires, right?
You take the fires and you take a land, and your opponent just scoops.
No, you take the land first, because if you take land, that way you still keep like everything legit. Even if they draw a 4th land, the worst thing they can do is cast Wrath of God. You got to keep the fires deck off of 5, right? So if you just take their land, this is the time where you take the land.
No, but if you play Treachery, you get to take the fires, and then you get to play the 2nd Treachery for free and take.
No, you don't. It costs 7. You have to have 7 land.
Oh yeah, you have to have 7 land. Derp, derp, derp. Stupid.
Get out of here, pleb.
Noob life.
Noob. All right, let's see. Does he take the land? One time. There it is. Got that land. Stone Rain, you play a 2/2. And now...
But you didn't want him to take the land like a turn before.
But because there was no fires available last time. Now there's a fires available. And now we can just naturally do some stuff. Here is that... We talked about this. Here is the Shatter of the Sky. And now going to be able to get the Sphinx in there. And it's still... this is still a little bit awkward, right?
Yeah, this game's not over yet. What's the Nissa sitting at?
I think it's sitting on 7.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, like, normally when I make lands, unless I'm casting something, I usually just make my islands. into creatures as opposed to my forests, like for this particular reason.
Because we want the extra mana from them.
Yeah, it ends up taking the Sphinx here,
which he's gonna get punished for.
Because we have Teferi, and so Teferi will be able to drop, and then could bounce the Sphinx and then replay the Sphinx.
Or he can hit his land and play the Cavalier, and then just get some new cards.
I was actually totally fine with taking another land there with the Agent of Treachery. Just keep them off of 4 and 5.
Yeah, just cut them out of the game. You know, I don't like the playing the Stomp here. I think I'd rather just play the Teferi because you're gonna bounce something anyway.
Right on schedule.
And now, if you hit your land, you can't play anything else.
Right.
Like the Clarion would have been way better. You bounce your guy and then Clarion the field again.
Yeah, and now we get into a situation where we're at what 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 land. So we don't have enough to cast the Agent. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then untap. So 7. So yeah, can also just take the land this time again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, still a land.
Right? I mean, that's got to be the play.
Yeah, but then he Clarions the board again, and then like now you're actually super far behind.
Well, the issue now is because I wouldn't have made another. I don't think I'd make another creature.
See, he took the fires this time because he knows.
Knows what?
He knows that if he got Clarion,
there's no red.
Exactly, he couldn't cast it before, so he took the fires so he doesn't get Clarion.
Because it was the only way he could cast it is because of the fires being in. Got it. Okay, yeah, that's all right. I mean, the way I looked at it too is like you could keep them off of 5. Like as long as you keep them off 5, normally you're not going to lose the game. And in this case, this game is still a lot closer probably than it could be.
This game comes down to red source.
Yeah, like red source is going to be very good. And now everything's free. So here's a growth spiral, and incoming Uro. Yeah, I was gonna say if you're like a WWE fan, every time I see Uro, I think of the Usos. So I was like, I don't know. Everybody, if you're in chat and that's your thing, you understand what I'm saying. But that's gonna go a long way. How does that? So escape doesn't count as casting, right? Like so doesn't count under fires.
No, it's a alternate casting cost. It's kind of like Force of Will.
So gets to basically put that into play, and then now gets to escape with it, like instantly. And here comes the damage. 4/4 going to go ahead and block, and then this will go ahead put down to 3.
Looking for red source.
Help!
I need somebody.
Help! No. There is no red source here. And that is going to be a concession in game 1. The Fires deck falls. But now we're going to get into the sideboard. JD, what are you bringing in?
I'm bringing in my Devout... No, not my Devout Decrees. My Ether Gust. Bringing in my Vetoes. And I'm just bringing in the counter suite. Just all the blue cards. I probably don't bring the Spyglasses.
But isn't Spyglass the nuts?
You just hit Nissa, but they don't care.
Because it's the double mana, right?
Yeah.
Is all they care about?
Yeah. You just care about the mana. You don't even care if you get the 3/3. And it's funny because it's better to not have the 3/3s in this matchup because they don't die.
You don't get to do what happened in that game, which is like double Stone Rain them once, maybe double Stone Rain them again, and be able to get back into the game that way.
Yeah.
So is it possible that
Thank you.
Dream Trawler gets put in?
No, it's too slow.
In case you're wondering, JD, like he said, is a proud father. And even though, we play Magic, we also teach our children to play Magic. And yes, his son right now, you can't see this, but he's saying hi to everybody because he wants to be a caster one day like Daddy and make it happen. So
hey, Jaden, which deck do you think is gonna win? Do you think the deck Fires is gonna win, or do you think Blue Green is gonna win?
That's a good kid right there. Smart,
Team Rob.
good-looking kid right there. And you can't see him, but just to give you an idea of how cute this child is. He is got a huge, sweet, like afro going. He and I mean it is huge.
Oh,
it is like
it's definitely like 5 inches of afro.
Yeah, it's like Sideshow Bob stuff going on.
Yeah.
But back to Magic. On the right side, we see our blue-green deck has Uro, has Mystic Dispute, has Cavalier, has Nissa, and then on the left side, we see a mulligan for our Fires deck. And our Fires deck has Dream Trawler, has Clarion, as well as Teferi going on with some lands, and it's going to look a little bit rough for the blue-white this deck. For the Fires deck, because gonna have to really hope and pray.
Yeah, I don't like bringing in the Dream Trawlers. I don't think I bring in the Dream Trawlers in this matchup. Like, yeah, it can get you out of a bind, it can draw you cards, but your opponent is just trying to ramp and like plow through you, you know.
But I mean, it's possible that the thing is that it costs. You got to get to 6 land, right?
Yeah. And you know Mystical Disputes and Counter Magic are coming in. Like, everyone plays Mystical Disputes in their sideboard. It's a blue card. 1 mana. You don't want to get that thing tagged by Mystical Dispute if you don't have Fires. I think it's a gamble to bring that card in.
I think it's going to be rough here because obviously for the Fires deck, they don't have Fires. And even if they have Fires, they have nothing that they'd be doing with the Fires right now because of the mulligan. Teferi will not resolve under any circumstance. I guess it's possible Teferi could resolve. No, there's no way Teferi resolves at all if he tries to play it on turn 3.
Yeah, if the opponent like does something weird, like draws like Leafkin maybe and plays Leafkin, then he gets punished. But like he's just gonna sit behind his.
Has to, at least for a turn.
Yeah, you have to respect Teferi. And
yeah, because you know that's the only way you're going to lose this game.
Yeah, and my theory is they always have it, so just assume they always have it.
Well, here we go. Will the trigger get pulled?
Don't do it.
No, don't do it. I can see the card. Like, no. Teferi. And here is the dispute, and there goes Teferi. And now we're going to see Uro come in, ramp up, and gain some life, and then possibly a Nissa after. But that is still the coolest anime. I don't care what anybody says. Don't at me. That's the best animation in Arena.
The rain down on me.
Yeah.
That's literally like every time I cast that card, I'm like, rain down on me.
Yeah. See, now everybody's going to be doing it. You started a new trend now there, JD. So Uro comes in, like I said, ramped up a little bit. So the Fires deck doesn't really have counter spells. So Nissa is going to resolve here. It's possible also to play Cavalier first.
No,
I think
he has
Nissa, right?
Well, he has Ether Gust to put it back on top.
Okay. So what do you cast here? Do you go Nissa or do you go...
I go Cavalier.
Okay. Try to burn the Gust?
Yeah, because worst comes to worst, they put it back on top. And then you're just like, okay, try again. I think the thing that I didn't like is him tapping out with Teferi when he had the Ether Gust. He could have just literally played the land of pass turn and hold up Ether Gust.
Oh, whoa, was that a concession coming?
He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I gusted. I'm done. Ooh, hey, all right. We got a little business. And by little, I mean very, very little.
Yeah, he has, like, if this sticks on the board, he gets the upkeep Scry too. And maybe then he hits the Cavalier or something.
And it has to be blue Cavalier, right?
It could be red one too. He can pitch the other 2 cards in hand. They're not doing anything at this point in the game. Like, you don't need the mountain. You can find another land.
Yeah, but isn't blue Cavalier strictly better, right? Because you see one more card.
Yeah, it's draw 3. It's definitely better. But like either of them are good.
Oh yeah, of course. You just don't want the other pieces. Like you don't really. I mean, I guess Kenrith is fine too, right? Because you can just attack with it and then gain some life, give yourself some time.
Oh, you just draw cards.
Or yeah, I guess that's true too. Just draw cards. Yeah, actually, so there's only bad draw is what? Oketra?
Yeah.
It does nothing.
It does nothing. The other bad one is probably the 4/4.
Here we go. What do we have on top? Is there a Cavalier? No, Teferi, get out!
I keep the Teferi.
And do what with it?
You bounce.
Draw?
You bounce. Yeah, you bounce.
He's like, I think he heard you. He was like, wait a minute. Maybe I should go put that Teferi so you could bounce the Nissa and draw a card. No! We suck again!
Like at worst, he attacks the Teferi, and you bought yourself 3 life. I don't know.
Well, at least the good part is that if you now every creature is live, right?
Yeah. This Agent of Treachery is going to come down and ruin
Yeah, I know. He doesn't know that though. I mean, honestly, no matter what was going to happen, that was going to happen, right? Like unless the draw was like Cavalier of Gales or Red Cavalier into Kenrith, like that was going to be the case no matter what, because it had to be Kenrith exactly, because then you can haste attack, give everybody trample, and like maybe kill Nissa and deal damage. Like that was like the only draw. So now it's a matter of Agent of Treachery is going to take Catcher, right? It's Indestructibles.
I just take the fires. I'm greedy.
No, if you take the indestructible creature every time you cast every creature, you're making more guys.
Yeah, but I take the fires and then play my Cavalier, and then I block with my Agent of Treachery at any point. I get to steal something else, so my 2/3 is just freely attacking. You know what I mean?
Look at this! Look at this madness! Making zombies.
Yeah, but see, I don't like this because like now if he
what's the out?
If he scries and finds a Wrath, he gets the Wrath the board. His Okecho gets to go back into his deck.
No, Oketra's indestructible.
Oketra's not indestructible.
I thought. Oh no, it's First Strike. You're right. That's the other one. Those are the new gods.
Yeah, like you play Kenrith here, you draw 2 cards.
That's a good point. Yeah, because you could go. I don't think you'd play Kenrith into a Wrath, right? If you had the Wrath.
Yeah, you can, like that. It's just rough because like the reason why I like cutting off the fires is because if you cut off the fires, your opponent has to play fair magic
with no cards in hand, essentially.
Exactly. By leaving the fires, yeah, you get a better board state, but like you're susceptible to Wrath. Like if he had Cavalier into Wrath, you're like not only is the Cavalier gonna cycle both Oketra and Cavalier into the deck, but you're gonna have a clean board state.
Couldn't he also, like, if there was a Wrath, could exile his Cavalier to be able to get back the agent and do it that way?
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's fine. Either line is fine. Because even in this one, if Wrath showed up, you could still exile, just take it the next time.
Yeah, but you run that risk, though. Like,
But there's no clock, right? I mean, if other way, this is like a total clock, right? You just win the next turn. No, but I mean, you actually just 1 turn clock is what I mean.
Yeah, you have a 5/6 and Nissa pumping out 3/3s. Your clock's pretty good, and you have Uro on standby.
Uro on standby. But now
he's flying to Arizona. He's coming to you.
He's like, "What's up, Rob? I'm ready to play this GP." Agent, hey Kenrith, hey buddy. Come on home. Come on home. How absurd. You're looking at like the 2 threats you drew.
Let's see.
And they're both on your opponent's side of the board.
Yeah, it's like these are my cards. Play with your own. This is what I do when I play against people who steal like your cards. I'm like, why can't you just play with your own Magic cards?
Yeah, this is like what because we have kids. We tell them, hey, we tell our kids to share, but not when we're playing Magic. We don't want to share. That is not the plan. But here comes the agent. Kenrith is going to take a trip on a fantastic voyage.
He gains life instead of drawing cards when he knows his Kenrith is getting taken. I do not like that.
What's the answer?
He at least gains 5. And then
possibly could Wrath, right? You need a Wrath. But instead is going to die. No, he's going to die. It didn't matter. He couldn't get an extra card anyway. What could he have drawn? It's not his turn.
Yeah, I know. How did the Kenrith get haste?
Did
the Kenrith just attacked too, didn't it?
How did it get haste? We just missed that piece of it. I don't think it really matters. It does.
Well, I'm curious because I was just like, the Kenrith just attacked also.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened to give that haste. There's got to be something that we missed.
Did he give it haste himself?
Yeah, maybe he was. Yeah, maybe that's what he did. He gave it haste itself just for the rub-ins because he knew he was going to lose anyway. He was like, give it haste because why not? And all right, we saw exactly what I told you was going to happen. The blue-green deck ramped into silliness.
Well, one deck played Magic and the other was struggling to find their lands. Let's be fair.
Look, it's not when you're at a PTQ and you're at a tournament, no one says that's what you get to tell your friends, right? But like at the end of the day, you're like, did you make top 8? No.
And I would love to hear that bad beat story.
Can you imagine?
I clarioned on all his board. All I had to do was draw one land, and I didn't draw my land.
That's how that story will go.
Yeah, it pretty
much. And on the other side, it'll be like, yeah, and then I took all of my opponent's permanents and beat him senseless with it. And then remember, this is a team match, so like their teammates are like there, being able to tell them what to do. So like he got to troll 3 different people. He was like, take your land, do this, take this, see what happens.
I wonder that conversation how it goes, because I'm first off taking the fires because like I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, but I bet you that was a conversation. I bet you they on their team they were having the same conversation we were having, but they're on a clock, right? So
it's all right, Fires of Invention. I had your back. You got unlucky.
Got a little unlucky there, but it is what it is. We are ready to see Game 3. It is now tied 1-1 between Clemson and Virginia Tech. And now it's going to be a matter of who can win this last match between these two teams that are trying to make their way to Las Vegas for the grand finale. It's me, Rob, AJG, as well as JD. We're going to go to a quick break, but after the break, we're going to have a winner and a loser, but don't go anywhere. Do or die for both teams. It is tied 1-1, and we are going into our final match. Blue-white control on bottom, blue-green tempo on top. And it looks like blue-white's going to be starting with the Temple of Enlightenment and praying that there are no counterspells from our blue-green deck, or that the blue-green deck somehow doesn't draw a third land, because there is a Teferi for blue-white like we talked about.
Yeah, this matchup is about patience. It's going to come down to just who is the most patient. You know what I mean? The first person who pulled the trigger is probably going to be the first person to lose.
Well, but the green deck gets to do pulling of the triggers on their opponent's turn. So it's a little bit easier for them to kind of throw things out there and see what happens.
Yeah, but like there's things you don't care about. Like if they played like a sailor, you're like, okay, whatever, you know.
Well, here comes the first salvo, like we talked about. And this card is one crazy card.
Yeah, it scales quickly, too.
All right. Pays the 3.
Just sits behind his counterspells.
Yes. Let's see. Counterspell, negate.
Yep.
Plus sailor.
I see nope, bro, my dude, about your thing.
Yes, and this is the problem that we said for blue-white is they don't have a lot of game against this. When your opponent doesn't play sorceries, it makes everything you do a lot more strange. And here's a 3 mana. Will they pull the trigger? Will we see another Teferi get denied?
Yeah, you can't run it out. You have to be patient. It's your only way to try to get to this
But what are
game.
you waiting for? Turn 6? You're going to be dead
You-
by then.
No, so what you have to do is you have to try to set up a raft with counter backup.
That's at minimum for this deck turn 7, right?
Yeah,
That's all?
That's what you have to do. You know what I mean?
Well, here comes the scaling. Because incoming Spirit that will be able to pump up what's going on. There's the Absorb.
Yep.
So gain 3, get your time back. Going to go back up to 21 here and try to play the... Wait, will there be a negate?
They shouldn't fight here. You literally just this is irrelevant. You by the blue-white card deck using their counter magic here, you're like, okay, you got my 1/1, but I still have more counter magic in my hand. You
Right.
get your 3 life, you know, and you just sit behind your counter spells.
Well, and they had to waste a full Absorb on a 1.
Exactly. But the thing is,
But they're
if
stuck on
he-
mana.
yeah, if he doesn't find his lands, he's gonna get buried. Because that's the thing. If you have more resources and more mana, you can fight the war twice. And that's what, that's what it's gonna come down to.
Here comes a Fable Passage getting cracked. And we are now on 4. Wrath.
Wow, I do
That
not
is
like this.
aggressive.
I just let it get wrapped. Believe it or not, I let it get wrapped and then just play a Borrower as a 3/1, and then just start
Yeah, and just
mocking them.
go back to what you were doing. Because if you do it this way, you're just saving a 2/2, right?
Yeah. I guess he's looking for his land.
Yeah, he definitely needs a land. So that's good. It can't. The only way he's going to lose this game, right, is if the blue-white player can get into a situation where they can maybe Teferi with counter backup.
Yeah. The blue-white player is playing this very well. He's making him answer things.
Oh, another negate.
You know what I mean? He's making him answer cards that he doesn't care if they get countered.
Well, and here's going to be the first one, is we're going to be playing... Well, I guess this is hard. I mean, it's possible you just pass,
Yeah.
and then EOT do the Omen, right?
I think I play Narset to get it countered, to just bait a counter, and then try to play the Omen and find more cards. Because you have a Wrath and a Teferi in your hand. So if you can find your lands, you can set up the turns where you go, Teferi, all right, Teferi gets countered. Wrath the board, all right, Wrath gets countered. Slam my Dream Trawler.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is the blue-green deck is only sitting on 3 mana.
Yep.
So being
You don't want
able to
cards.
make them counter right now, yeah, gonna go ahead and get rid of those. Need land. Because the blue-white deck has... The only way to do... Whoa, no, there's a
do it?
Teferi! And
you
he fell for
safe. Yeah, he's like, you felt safe because your oath didn't get countered, but they don't want to counter your oath.
they're not going to counter... They're never going to counter it.
Yeah,
Well, that's
never
what I was saying. Like, I was totally fine with just saying go, and then... another Teferi. I was just thinking, like, EOT cast Omen, and then Scry, and try to
Yeah.
find the Absorb,
Yeah.
and then try to live...
Or find
but-
the lands, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think at worst, you just bait with the Narset. You know what I mean?
Right, Narset has to be first.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of what we're all definitely
Like-
thinking there.
Yeah, Teferi is the most important card in this matchup. Because you need to get them to play on your turn.
Yeah, you got to get them to start playing Fair Magic. And the thing is that you have time, or you have a little bit of time, because your opponent doesn't have 4 mana. So there's not too many things that are really scary at 3, at Flash, right? You're just worried about the Wolf.
Yep.
Like, the Wolf is the problem.
And then once they get to 4, you have to worry about Frill Mystic and
Here we go. Dream Trawler.
Essence Capture.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Wah, wah, wah. Imagine if he had 4 mana.
Yeah, imagine if he
That would have
played,
been really bad.
Imagine if he played the Narset.
Right. Imagine if Narset, because there'd be Teferi in play.
Yeah.
Or no,
Because you
Teferi
can-
wouldn't be in play, but the second Dream Trawler would be in play.
Yeah, he could have went Narset to Fairy, then the Trawler would have resolved.
Right. This Trawler would be resolving. But now, do you cast Narset here? Is there any reason?
I played ECD, get it countered.
All right. Well, here is Narset, and Narset is going to definitely resolve because there's no forecasting cost to be able to do here. And now you can search for a counterspell. Oh, another Wrath. That's fine. There's really no pressure here, but we are going to see a Brazen Borrower come in. And Or, well, is it Brazen Borrower, or
It's
do you play
You play the Cutthroat.
Cutthroat first?
Yep.
He's touching it a little bit. And maybe they're just having a conversation with their team right now. Like, do we need the extra power right now? Because our opponent is on 10. And if we play the Brazen Borrower, it's a 2-turn clock, right?
Yeah. But if you play the Cutthroat, right, you can scale it next turn. If worst comes to worst, because they know about one of the wraths. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you play the Cutthroat, you can pay 1, right, to your guy and have the exact same amount of power.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why are you attacking? Wait, I don't understand.
I just stayed a course to try to kill them.
Yeah, like I'm not sure what the draw is here, right? Because it has to have Wrath plus.
Boy. Oh boy.
Neither of those cards do anything.
There's a Teferi in that pile.
What does Teferi do?
A lot.
Is that 7?
Yeah.
You play Teferi. In response, you play Brazen Borrower. And now what?
Then he bounces, dude. You draw your land. You clear the board.
and then you have to live a whole other turn.
Yeah, you can't play scared.
Yeah, never scared.
Never scared.
All right. Well, we have a birth coming in. Milk jugs for everybody.
Yeah.
Get a mana, and that will be it, right?
Yeah, he just he has the Wrath, and like he wraths.
He has to play Wrath, and then
he was cleared the board.
well, actually, no, not dead. Yeah, no. Not still in this game. Yeah, because there's Wrath, and then will EOT play the bar, or EOT play the Cutthroat this time. Okay.
More damage. He did play the Borrower before.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really like killing Narset. I thought like just trying to go upstairs, he'd be at 1 right now, right?
Yep.
0-4 is not going to do too much in this matchup. And you have to just try to windmill slam the... Oh, he's not going to play the Dream Trawler. I was thinking you play just Dream Trawler. But there's a...
I like this play. Because the only counters that it could be is Sinister Sabotage or Quench. And you just sit here and you're like, don't have the Sabotage.
Yeah, don't have... Yeah. Because Quench isn't going to do it, right? You can pay for the Quench.
Yep.
Quench is 2. It's like miscalculation, but not as good.
And then if he has like a attack here, it has to be in the air, and then you'll go back to 3 anyway. And then you have the other ECD for it.
And now we've got double Quench, so this game got a lot more interesting for the blue-white deck because of some issues here.
Yeah, the missing on the land.
And now Teferi's going to be able to come back because we talked about Elsbeth conquering death.
And
when it conquers death,
he can't counter here because they get cost 2 more.
Right. If he counterspells the Dream Trawler, it just comes back.
He can't
bigger.
He can't counter it though because the ECD.
Oh, because doesn't have the 4th land. No.
Yeah. The Brazen Borrower.
But even still, it wouldn't matter. It's like you kill it, it just comes back with a counter.
See, remember when we said he shouldn't have played the Brazen Borrower? Because he would have had the Cutthroats in play, right? And the Brazen Borrower would have been able to attempt to bounce the
right now to tap it.
To tap it to get the final touches in.
And that would have been it. And another Dream Trawler for your troubles. And I would have liked to see loyalty, just for the trolls.
Just for the lols.
But we talked about this. If the blue-green deck starts missing on mana, and you can turn the corner, and now you're looking at a situation where it's like, at 3, when that attack happens, it's going to go up to 5, and now we've got big problems.
No, don't bounce that one.
What?
I would at least just bounce the...
Oh, what? No, we can't. No, he can't do anything in response. He wants the damage.
Yeah. But I want the 3-1 dead.
Yeah, but just a concession.
Yeah, none of this matters because there's double
Dream Trawler out with Teferi. You can forget about it.
He bricked on his 4th land. Some of the sequencing was a little interesting. I understand that one of the 3-1 in play for the more damage, Where like the 2/1 with scale, and you don't care if that gets wrath because the brazen has two sides you can bounce. I don't know.
I think the issue more was like, you had to figure. I mean, granted, the blue-white deck, I think, could have played the Narset first, and that makes everything a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm also I also like just playing whenever I draw Dream Trawler in this matchup, I always just play it. I just windmill slam it into play because I like having one in my graveyard, so that way they always have to counter every single Elsbeth Conquers Death that happens from that way all the rest of the game. So I can see that, but that's also a situation where if the blue-green deck draws a land, it's not a game.
Yeah, because the Throw Mystic comes down, and it's just like, yeah, it's just unfortunate. I think
And that happens.
I think there was like on both sides there's just a lot of like back and forth, like um prioritizing spells, and
Yeah.
I think he didn't prioritize the fairies as much as he should. It didn't end
Yeah.
up mattering, but like you saw what happened. There, you played Teferi, the game ends. They can't. Although he was stuck on lands, it would make all the plays he's trying to do irrelevant because he has
Like
to do it
actual
on Narset.
100% irrelevant.
So and Narset doesn't really have text in the game. It says potentially draw a card, draw a wrath that you probably won't resolve anyway. So you leave with the Narset, and if it gets counters, you're like, oh well, we tried. Slam
Yeah.
the Teferi. Is it good?
Right. And you give your opponent a chance to mess up when you play the Narset, right? Like they may not prioritize Narset the same way that other people do, so it's possible that you might get to bait out a counterspell from them. And then also if you play Narset and it resolves, it gets you that other counterspell that you're looking for, and now you can fight.
Yeah.
But that all that's game one. Now it's time to get into our next game, and we've got some action here. We do have Teferi. Looks like we have Casket. We've got Birth. We've got Elsbeth Conquers Death. Everything looks good over here. On the other side, 2 lands, Quench, Borrower, Sinister Sabotage. We're going to have the Mystic and as well as the Werewolf. So needs more lands there. Goes ahead and mulligans it and finds a much worse hand the second time around.
Yeah.
Oh, and the third one is,
You gotta
I guess, okay. It's fine. 2 counterspells and a creature that also happens to draw cards. You got to keep the. You got to send back the forest, right?
Yeah, I think I send back the forest, keep the Scryland, and with the counter magic,
There's literally no way I would keep a 3-land Multiply with everything in my hand costs 2, and one of them is a Scryland.
Because you'll find the lands eventually,
Like, well, you have to. If you don't find a land, you're gonna die anyway. So like, you gotta just get a 3rd land, and then does draw the wolf. So his plan of keeping the extra land is paying off so far. So that still needs to find another forest to be able to get into that.
He got rewarded. He got rewarded.
Well, it means he kept that on top, though.
Yeah.
But he still has to draw another exactly forest, right?
No, he just needs any land. He has a temple and a forest in play. So
Oh,
any
you're
land,
right.
Any land lets him play the Ambusher.
All right, so that's fine. And now he can play EOT Spirit.
I'm interested to see how much he tries to protect this Teferi this go around.
Will he just disrespect him and just play the windmill slam this Teferi because he's so far ahead?
Yeah, Hair's different though because he mulliganed, so you might just jam it. But I don't like just jamming.
Yeah,
it.
I don't like jamming it either. I think play to your strengths here. Get this casket in there. Turn off whatever threat, because now you just need time. Like, if you're not dead or close to dying when it's like turn 5 against blue-green tempo, you're perfectly happy with all of it.
You need time to revel.
Yeah, I need time to revel in everything that is godly.
says Teferi.
Yes.
I love Teferi's animation, his speech. He comes in, he goes, "Let's slow this down."
That's exactly what it does too. Let's slow this down. I wish that we could get more voice lines. Like, get the guy who does Teferi to do a lot more stuff. Like, give me like 16 voice lines. Just pay him an extra day to come in and just say, like, give me like 50 of them. So like, I have to go through so many games of Magic before I hear it. And then have like mythic voice lines that only happen like once every 100 games. You're like, oh my god, he said something
Yeah.
crazy.
That'd be really cool, actually. Or when the ultimate they say something like insane. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
something just obnoxious. And there's a Teferi, which is fine. You're actually totally fine just running out to Teferi here because you've got what he has the Elsbeth Conquers Death and also another Teferi for your trouble. Incoming Teferi. Haha! I will play the Spectral Sailor. That'll teach you.
I'm gonna bounce it.
Just to draw a card, right?
Yeah, draw a card. It can't battle. It can't battle the Teferi.
Well, it can't get through a big ol' Ofo. Did he not play it again? Oh, can't, because Teferi's so good. Let's slow this down.
The Sailor has flying, but like it's gonna hit Teferi for 1. You're gonna plus for 1 in your turn, so it just doesn't actually ever kill Teferi.
And here we go, Omen of the Sea.
All right, let's pray to the mana gods for Pin.
Again, getting stuck on 3.
For I'm sorry, not Pin. For Lydig.
Lydig. Well, I don't
Litigation?
think there's no, even with another land. What does that mean?
I don't know. He can play his Ceratops and get Wrath
And then go about.
I'm trying to give him some hope.
Yeah.
We're in the as they say, garbage phase.
Yeah, we are in the going through the motions
Yeah,
right now
nothing-
because
nothing-
it is really rough because
the server would have to crash.
yeah, we talked about those moments when it's like I just need a meteor to fall on my opponent's head. If I could just have a meteor, we would
One
be
time.
in this game. One time meteor.
One
like
time.
But I don't think you want to use your meteor here. I think you probably would launch your one-time meteor for another game. Save that for Vegas. You're like, all right, guys, one-time meteor, let's go.
Sir,
so-
I was trying to drink my beverage. It almost ended up all over my screen.
Yeah, sorry. You know Meteor Storm. We've been there before. That's a pretty good card. So Teferi in play, turning off all of the blue-green fun cards. Couple O4s that are super. Their bones are strong from the milk, and now we have incoming Elsbeth Conquering Death and Ceratops. Nice knowing you, bruh.
Just strangling the chokehold. It just comes down to how much more can he take, you know?
Yeah. Well, will he bounce? Well, yeah. Okay. So now, will they? It depends. How degenerate do you go here?
Yo, I want to do all the BMs. I just want to uptick. I just want to uptick and pass turn.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, is it? At what point is it unsportsmanlike?
Just, actually, I'm playing the troller. You know why?
Yeah. That's sports. Oh, see, Nar said unsportsmanlike.
No, I'm
Trawler sportsmanlike.
Listen, I play the troller, uptick my Teferi with the ECD trigger on the stack. I shatter.
No.
just the straight BMs because you draw cards and you get it back. I'm just like.
What a monster! See, this is playing Narset is actual unsportsmanlike at this point.
Yeah,
There's
like,
no reason. He's like,
Oh,
well, I have this Shatter the Sky. I'll do that because my opponent. I'm gonna wait for them to play their other werewolf, and then wrath everyone.
I wanted to play the troller on our turn, untap with the ECD on the stack, just blow the board up. Because you know he's going to play the other werewolf. And your O4s are blocking this
You're
turn
right.
anyway.
I mean, you're right. That would be the ultimate BM.
Yeah, just like, oh wait, I forgot to cast this card last turn.
My fault. Oops. And
He said
there's
no
the
block. He said no block and then wrath.
I won't let you win.
oh no.
Because you have 2 of them.
There, finally, here we go. Wrath with the quench. 2 counter spells looking you dead in your face.
He's like, I'm going to cast this quench. Never mind, I'm not thirsty.
Yeah. Are you thirsty? Would you like a drink of this delicious beverage? And incoming Teferi with an extra loyalty because why not? And the Narset will find who cares.
Purple.
Finds the Jack of Spades and incoming Dream Trawler. And Will they? The question now is, will the blue-green deck go through the motions and make him earn it? You're at 20. Do you make him earn it, or do you just concede? This is for the whole match.
I just hit the good game, good game, good game. Close. I hit the power button on my computer. I don't even power cycle it correctly. I'm just like, oh, just
unplug it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. But give them all the credit in the world because they're actually going to go ahead and play this through.
Yeah,
there is the bounce.
This is the power of Teferi in this matchup.
Well, if you resolve it, they don't get to play Magic.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna do these things and you're gonna watch.
Right.
The only way you can beat Teferi in this matchup is say they play Teferi on 3 and you're like, play my 2/1, play a 1/1. Because then they have to bounce one of them, and then you get to kill Teferi.
Right. But even then, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm just probably upticking my Teferi.
Right.
Like,
nope, uptick. Come get some. That's what he needs. You need Teferi to come down and be like, come get some.
You gonna learn today.
You gonna learn today. You ever go night-night? That's what you'll do when he ulties. When big Teferi ulties.
you gonna go night-night.
You ever go night-night? But little Teferi doesn't get that because his ulti is what we call an ulti.
Yeah, you mean him being in play? That's
his static ability is his ultimate.
He comes in and he's just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me? What was that? City of Solitude? Yeah, that's where I live. Remember when you had to play City of Solitude and that's all it did?
Yeah. 2 and a green, right?
Yeah. 2 colors and a green, and it did Teferi. And Teferi also says, by the way, play things at sorcery speed, at instant speed, break the game. And then also, I guess while we're here, boomerang some stuff, draw a card. Repulse, or repulse some, not repulse. Is it repel? What's the card that does that in blue? The one blue
repeal?
and 2 that repeal, right?
There's repeal for 1 and X that does it.
No, that's not the one. I'm talking about the one that was in it was 1 blue and 2 and put a creature back in their hand. Repulse, right? Yeah, repulse. That's an old card. That was like in Mercadian Masks or something.
Yeah,
show my age.
You consider Mercadian Masks old, younging?
Listen, I've been playing more longer almost than you were alive. Let's be. How old are you now?
I am 33 years old.
I am 40 years old, young man. Okay, when I started playing Magic, you were just learning to tie your shoes.
But I started when I was 7.
That's what I'm saying. You were learning. Do 7-year-olds know how to tie their shoes?
Oh, this one did.
Right, but how long has he known?
You strap it. You just strap it. That's
not Velcro. Get out of here with that. I'm talking actual tie your shoes.
Oh, we should probably get back to this game. Wait,
yeah,
Teferi can play, and there's a Dream Trawler, and yeah, this game has legitimately been over for like 5 minutes.
He's saying hello, McFly.
The Green Blue player's like, you know what? You played Teferi. I'm gonna make you wait.
Yeah.
You wanted to slow it down. You came into play. Let's slow it down.
Let's slow it down. Oh, there is the concession. The blue-white deck comes through. The blue-green deck did have a couple issues there. Both games kind of just getting stuck, but not being able to find the 4th land. And it's just the deck has a good matchup, like we both said.
Yeah.
But when you can't play multiple spells, you don't have your count, you don't have a 4th land to fight. It's going to be very hard to get into that. But in the end, we do have Virginia Tech coming out on top over Clemson, and it was exciting at least. And I hope you guys enjoyed the time with myself and JD. If we get JD to sit up, sit up proper like we can see him. There, look at this man. Now he's in frame. Look at him swole up with his sweater on, looking so nice there. But JD, obviously we had a good time here. I hope everybody at home had a good time. But tell everybody where they can find you on social media and tell them about your Twitch stream.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on twitch.tv/JD Greenwich, a.k.a. The Black Splash on Twitter, Facebook, The Black Splash on Facebook. And, yeah, we just have fun.
This kind of shenanigans is what you'll see on his stream, where you have fun with it.
So we do this funny thing on my stream where the viewers select random cards. Doesn't matter what color they are. So say you say Teferi. right?
Okay.
So had to play Teferi. Then say someone says Gray Merchant, got to play
Oh
Gray
my.
Merchant, and see, we'll just build a deck. It's
Oh
funny.
well, that sounds fun.
We
So
did it with a bad deck, and we took it to Diamond 2.
oh
Just
my.
won like 16 games straight with it. For yeah, we have a lot of fun, and I
Well,
appreciate you having me on.
yeah, of course. I would love to have you on again at some point. I mean, the season's getting close to the end, but we have a lot more Magic that is going to be in store. So again, I've been your host, Rob AJG. You can also find me everywhere on the social. And we're continuing our coverage. Again, I'm here in Phoenix with Magic Fest. So if you're at the GP, come check me out. I'll be on site playing Bant Spirits tomorrow, hoping to resolve Collected Company as much as I can in Pioneer. But until then, have fun in your drafts, and we will see you next week.
Slow it down.
Slow it down.